It's time to be clean. Yes. Putting my emotions aside, these I I have a very difficult time with emotion, and it's my challenge. It's actually shown in my chart. Simply because I have a Mars in Scorpio, and then I have a Moon in Pisces, and then I have a Mercury. Then I have a Mercury in Cancer, right? Okay, so there's a lot of water there. A Moon in Pisces, a Mercury in Cancer, and a Mars in Scorpio. How much emotion would you be able to feel with that? But most importantly, to have a second degree sun, you know, the greatest fire engine in our life. You know, the weight of the solar system, the sun, right? Think about him. Think about the heat of Rahu, the the heat of Ra. Moving forward, I was planning on doing this last night, and it just didn't happen. I wanted to really get these charts all organized for you, and what I have for you today is a list of earthquakes. Yes, I'm not kidding with you at all. Uh, we want to recognize the dominant elements in each quake, and then through the weight of the zodiac, notice where the planets are. Now, I'm coming to you. Listen to me. I'm very sincere in my voice. And all these quakes, all these charts that I'm about to share with you, are part of one of my last significant conversations with my astrology teacher for pretty much 30 years. And after going over these quakes and me presenting him to him for him to examine, is when he said, "You're truly a seer." And when we start to examine these quakes, we have to look at, like this one I'm having in front of you, this one that I have in front of you right now is January 26th quake. Okay, 1700. It's the Cascadia earthquake. This chart is drawn from a rogue tsunami that hit Japan. This is how this chart is drawn, and this is the predicted time that the earthquake would have happened. Now, I want you to, right off the bat, look how the ascendant is at 23 degrees Virgo. It's very important, okay? We have Jupiter conjunct Mercury, which is retrograde, in the fourth house, right? So you have an Earth overlap, but most importantly, at the IC, you have Sagittarius, which is that Jupiter influence on the cusp. But then there's the overlap. This is why my Placidic house system, one of the reasons why I follow this system. But see, here we are. I mean, this is a moon house, and here is Jupiter and Mercury in retrograde. Then we can look here. We can look at the sun in Aquarius and the Uranus in Cancer, right? So Uranus is actually an air element, and it's that in conjunct once again. Because remember, you have to remember that Uranus and the sun have a special operation, and on this date, he's in conjunct Uranus, so there's work that has to be done, right? There's that in conjunct time period, that's that moment of stress, that sixth house energy. That's where the in conjunct comes from. And here we look at Sun. The Sun's opposed Pluto in Leo. Look at this. This is the 1700 quake, right? And where is Pluto? Pluto is now where? Can you see him? He's up there in Leo, right? So he's at 10 degrees. I mean, he's only 2 degrees from my Jupiter, right? As I say, I have no one to steal from in this on this platform on YouTube. I'm only here to inform you. I want you to look at the charts that I'm about to bring to you and know that these are article lights of worshiping the Father. It's like the greatest headache that I have about when I get onto an astrological channel on YouTube. There's no first identification to the importance of the Father, because the Father is the reason why we study astrology. The Father gives us the light to pursue the light of the chart. That's why I'm a Leo. That's why I have a Jupiter in Leo. I mean, I'm a teacher. I told my dad I was a teacher, and he says, "Well, teachers don't make any money." But I want to think about this. I want to show you this, because here we have the Sun is in Aquarius this day, and Pluto is at 10 degrees Aquarius. Pluto's at 10 degrees Leo in an Aquarius house, and the Sun's in and the Sun is in a fire house with an Aquarius overlap, that Uranus energy overlap. These are the types. This is the type of elemental astrology I want to share with you. All right, where the astrology is all about how the planets and their energies are intertwined in these different sectors, because even these different sectors have different elements. Don't try to figure out all the Sabian symbols. We don't have the time. We want to look for these stressful moments, right? We want to look at these organizations and see how it's like on this Cascadia, earth and water, and the earth shook and the water moved, right? And I mean and here we have the Pisces over that Libra house and that Neptune in the 7th house. I'm hoping I'm speaking with you about this, because this is 20 years of studying. This is what I'm about to show to you. I've been studying earthquakes ever since the Boxing Day event, which is on my birthday, right? This is it. This is the next chart. Once again, look at what's on the midhaven. Here's the timestamp. I want to move through these. We're looking at the elemental energies, right? Here we have Jupiter, in the 7th house of Saturn and Venus, but with a Mercury overlap. And then here we have Uranus. We have this Uranus Aquarius disruption sign on the Aquarius, right? It's on the ascendant with a Pisces overlap, right? And these are all significant quakes. I mean, the quakes they have for you, I'm going slow. I'm letting you see the dates. These are all, I haven't picked out just any quakes. I've picked out notable quakes that I could find. Here's another quake right here. I mean, this is the largest part of, these are just a few of the largest part of my study as an astrologer. Are earthquakes, right? And when earthquakes happen and what was on the ascendant and where they were. I mean, here you got Neptune right on the ascendant. And here's Gemini and Sagittarius. And it's July 18th, right? And then we look at the Sun, but we also look at where Mercury is. Mercury's in a retrograde situation, right? He's hanging out with the Sun. And then there's these squares to Mars. But once again, look at this. They're always there, the inconjunct where the work is, right? Because the Mars is it's the, what Mars is in our life. It's an abusive moment, right? It's like an accident, right? It's Mars. And there's Saturn, the Reaper, in the last account of Pisces in retrograde. So you can see there's always work has to be done. Work has to be done somewheres in the chart. That's the importance of the inconjunct I find in earthquakes and most of our relationships. I mean, if the relationship isn't romantic, look for the inconjunct. That's what I say. I mean, we can learn about our relationships, and even between our countries, and we just look at where the inconjunct is. I really do think so. Yeah, it's time to sleep after we have this dream of earthquakes on our scene. Now look, here we go. Here's another one, 1746 quake. Once again, there's the inconjunct, eh? There's an inconjunct happening. This one's Neptune and Venus, and then there's that semi-sextile energy with Pluto and Venus. But there's Jupiter making a hard angle to Mars. And what's Uranus doing? What is Uranus doing in this chart? He's making a square to Mercury. He's making a square to the sun, and he's making a square to the moon. But once again, when we're looking for these elements, for when these major quakes happen, we have to look on the horizon and or the ascendant and descendant. It's that earth and water. Once again, they're earthquakes, and the planet is 70% odd water, right? And 80% of the land comes from volcanoes. The rest of it's sedimentary and fell from the sky. Okay, so here you go. Here's the African earthquake. Here's the African earthquake right here. Once again, that green line just wants to jump out at us. That inconjunct again. And where's the inconjunct happening again? The inconjunct is happening again between Mars and Saturn, right? That's where the inconjunct is actually happening. And once again, look at the horizons. I mean, Capricorn Earth sign is in that 12th house, but then there's that air sign, right? And look at Leo on the ascendant. And look where Mercury is. Mercury's there, conjuncted descendant. And see the trine, right? The trines are there, but there is going to be a square. All right, Venus is a volcanic, and look where Venus is. Venus is hanging out with Uranus, so, and it's in Cancer, right? So you got this unpredictable, volcanic energy in a water sign in the 6th house, which is an earth element, right? So you see how water and earth overlapping, and then you have the planets there. And look at the squares. The squares are significant. And look where the semi-sextile. Once again, see that semi-sextile? It's between Neptune and Pluto. I'm gonna grab a little sip here. We're time travelers, folks. We're looking at one earthquake. We're hopping from one quake to the next. As I scroll down here, right? And I'm going slow. Where am I at here? This is where I'm at right now. Let's move on to the next one. There's the African earthquake, inconjunct again. Okay, 6, here we are. Just move it along, right? And then look at it. It wants to hit us right in the eye, inconjunct. So that inconjunct is coming overnight. I mean, it's overnight. It's a huge success. So when we look at a possible quake coming up, because we have these squares happening, but we have to look, because let's see how close the inconjunct is. Because Saturn is the Earth. The node is right there in water. And once again, it's that water, or the Saturn being an Earth sign, I mean an Earth planet, and then the node being in water, and then there's that inconjunct with Uranus and Leo, right? And Earth is on the ascendant, and look where Saturn. Saturn is 14 degrees, and look where Saturn is in Pisces. He's at 18 degrees. It's funny, right? It's so perfect. And look where the moon is. The moon is actually in Cancer, but in an Aries house, right? Water. The moon is in Aries, but the moon is a water sign, right? So you have those. You see, there's the cardinal part of the quake, because both moon, that would be the moon would rule the house, that would be squared to Aries. And look what moon. And look where the moon is compared to where Cancer is. And once again, it's that earth and water blend on the horizon. It's a dominant thing I see near points of significant quakes, right? But the inconjunct Saturn and Uranus, and this is a big quake, right? This is another big quake. These are major quakes. You can look them up. That's why I'm not going to spend that much time on showing you the nomenclature because there's too many quakes. And these quakes, it's important to look at these because they all connect to where we're going, right? Things happen between humans, and then things happen against, in the skies on here on Earth, and it affects all of us. And these quakes are quakes to take note of, right? Here's once again, double inconjunct off the midhaven in Aquarius. Sun in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, and here we have Aries and Libra on the ascendant. But look at the quakes, right? They're perfect. The inconjunct is always there. It's really showing us the lost. This podcast is really showing us the lost importance of the inconjunct. So because we're too much looking at the squares and the trines, because everyone talks about those, and we don't pay that much attention to the inconjunct. But the inconjunct is where the work is going to be happening, right? The Mercury and this Venus and the Sun inconjunct Neptune in the fourth house. The fourth house, right? The ruled by the moon. And where's the moon? Moon's in the first house. And again, here we go. Double inconjunct. Holy cow! Inconjunct podcast. Hey, this is the inconjunct podcast and semi-sextiles, right? Once again, we have another great quake showing us how important these inconjuncts are, and at the time of the quake. So we could absolutely. There's Uranus. And Uranus is there again. And they're mind-boggling charts, folks. They're beautiful charts. I mean, much time has been spent, and these are just a few of that I have in collection, right? And what's next? What could be next? Oh, it's very simple, right? Another inconjunct. Once again, with Neptune and Saturn, this is earthquakes, right? And Saturn is right there in the fourth house, once again, ruled by the moon, with the Cancer, with an Aquarius overlap, right? And then here we have, the third house ruled by, Gemini, but with a Capricorn overlap, right? It's crazy. And then here's Scorpio on the ascendant. We look at Pluto. And Pluto is absolutely squared. Pluto is absolutely squared Uranus, and then the moon, or not the moon, but Mars in the house of Venus, which is an Earth house, Taurus, the Earth house. Mars is absolutely squared Neptune. Jupiter, right? Perfect. So where's that? How close is that square? Mars at 16 degrees. Jupiter's at 17 degrees. I mean, it's not even a whole degree. Like it's not even 20 seconds. It's not even 20 minutes out, right? Holy cow. And this, Venus, Saturn, seventh house, Saturn and Venus, right? Elements, folks, elements. We don't even need the asteroids. We have to look, but most importantly, we have to re-enlighten ourselves with how important this inconjunct aspect is. We could be doing the wrong thing with your life or trying to do the wrong thing in life because we're just not taught about how important it is to have an inconjunct if you're going to get work done. Saturn is that career planet. And we're spending more time with the career. We're spending less time with that Neptune stuff, right? But here you go, right? Once again, earth and water. With an inconjunct happening between, earth and air, right? With the Saturn, the Saturn placements, right? It's crazy. Now, brings us up to present. This is the chart that double in conjunct crossed, eh? This is the Indian earthquake. This is when I started studying megathrusts, right? This is when I started studying earthquakes. This is the chart that got me intrigued with it, and this is the chart that has. This is the chart that came to me on my birthday. This was my birthday present, right? Because you got to remember, Santa, which is Jupiter, he's the energy that puts the gifts under the tree. And when you might not realize it, sometimes if your mind is like this playground of learning, sometimes that gift is just an event to learn from, right? And you still learn from this chart. Every time you look at it, you understand the chart more, right? Because that gift keeps on lingering on, right? That gift is astrology from the Father, right? The light of day, have a consciousness to understand the double in conjunct here. Saturn with Pluto, and then Mars with the Moon, right? It's perfect. See, look at this. And this is the Moon right here, 27 degrees. The Moon is actually perfectly square my Moon in Pisces at 26 degrees Pisces, right? You always have to look where you're connected, because all these charts always connected me somehow. And look at the Sun. The Sun, where is the Sun? It's at 4 degrees Capricorn, and that would be in conjunct with my natal Sun. And that's why I'm bringing this podcast to you today, right? My work is in Capricorn. It is. This is how it is. I mean, I'm a Leo, and I'm a sun sign Leo, and that Capricorn house is my house to work, right? And that's why you can always see me working in Banff National Park, because the family's fine, right? I mean, you think about it. I mean, my inheritance is actually living where I am because a steward laid out the land here. This is where I learned astrology, right? These are ancient souls speaking to me through my daily tasks, right? If you look at my ancestral past, because I didn't study this. This was like my mother told me that I was hanging out with Satan, while I was studying this stuff, right? And here, how much I had, and here I am entrenched with it, and there's nobody to talk about this stuff with, right? And then they invent YouTube. And the beautiful day of my moment in my life is that nobody talks about earthquakes like this, right? And I love talking about earthquakes this way. And look, once again, because we have to understand the inconjunct. 1942, and there's a double inconjunct here, right? Double inconjunct, and one inconjunct is with the Moon. We always have to look at this timing, because look at on the ascendant, Pisces, and Pisces on the first house ascendant, and then across Virgo, and then look at all these planets, and look at all these planets, and look at how the Moon, look how the Mars is in conjunct with the Moon in the 12th house, which is ruled by Pisces, right? But with that Uranus overlap, and that 12th house Uranus overlap, okay? It's unreal, right? Absolutely unbelievable. Moving on. Actually, scrolling down, number 3 now. Where are we going now? We are going where? We are going to 2040. All of us are together on this planet, right? In 2040, look at it. Because we want to know what we can plan for. And there's more charts in between. There's more charts, but this is the next star Bethlehem, right? This is 2040 at 17 degrees, 17 minutes. We all have something to do. We're all going to have something important to do here. And our path is set in stone, right? My path here, I must provide the road that the Father wants to share with me and to share with you, because we could all learn from this. This is what I want to share with you right now. Because after the star, we see one of the most magnificent, after the star in 2040, in 2041, we will see one of the most magnificent alignments that we've seen in quite some time, right? We're talking a very extreme rare event, extremely rare event, where we have a grand cross. And this grand cross, what really attracted me this date and how I stumbled on, because there's not another date like this. This is a significant date. I mean, we could think about the earthquake that just happened in Turkey and how they had that double earthquake there, and that was with a T-square, okay? But to see a chart of a double grand cross with Sun and Jupiter together, Jupiter on that first house, but most importantly, there's no inconjunct because there's so much stress with a double grand cross. You wouldn't need an inconjunct. But once again, we have to look where Jupiter sits on the first house of Aries of Mars. He squared Mars, who's thinking about jumping over into the 10th house, but actually in the house, he squared Mars and Jupiter are squared, and Mars is in Jupiter's house. He squared Uranus in Jupiter's house, on the cusp of Saturn's house in the 10th house, and here we are, Leo. And this, look at this midheaven, it's 16 degrees. I think it's actually conjunct my Ceres. Ceres is not in this chart, so I can't tell you. But it's absolutely conjunct my Jupiter, right? I mean, when we look at how it's set up here, and I went with the moon in Aquarius because this is where the opposition begins. I believe Chiron is right here. But folks, I mean, I have a vast collection of charts. I mean, the charts keep on carrying over. I mean, I could keep on going through the charts with you. But it's it's a redundancy here. Here's a Haiti quake, right? Once again, these are interesting quakes that where we don't have the inconjunct, but there's these semi-sextiles happening here, right? And the weight is so, I mean, on this one. The other thing I don't like about astrological charts, I mean, it's my podcast, so I can complain about what I don't like about a lot of the formulation of all the chart casting systems, because I can't find it, is that the Earth should be appropriately placed, because we always forget that the Earth is opposed to Sun, right? So the Earth would be over here close to Mars, because it's in Capricorn, right? So the Earth would be over here, and there should be a little Earth symbol. I'm pretty sure the astrological glyph, I don't know why we don't do this, but I'm pretty sure the astrological glyph is a circle with a cross. I'm pretty sure. I don't know why we don't have this in our card for, because we have to look at the stress. We should look at squares and what have you to the Earth, right? But look, guys, this is where we're all going, and I'm here. I mean, everyone's got emotions. I mean, I don't want to be known as a troll. I don't want to be known as a thief in the night on YouTube, right? I want to share with you. An astrological pursuit based on a life living without a father but with a mother who marketed a movie called The Thief in the Night, right? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but this is one of my first significant movies I watched as a child before I was even in the kindergarten. This is it. And then there was Noah's Ark, and then Bambi, and here I'm in Banff National Park, right? And I'm a super nice guy, but we all have emotions, and we all have a flame burning inside, and I need to excuse myself, and I need to excuse others, and I need to apologize for who people might think I am on social media. But one, I am not jealous of anyone. I've done my homework. I've just shown you a very short episode of collections of charts that ignite my day, because these are just charts. Our digital world is our only digital world, but what we have here is we have significant logistics, how earthly events will happen in the future, right? And I have a collection of charts to show you this, so we can have an idea. We can follow these in conjuncts and these significantly stressful moments in our sky. Because, I mean, 99% of it is the sun, and the trigger is that ascendant, right? Because that ascendant ignites that key planet, right? You have to be in a place. I mean, that it's like a time clock, right? It's going to happen. I mean, it's it's like someone like tapping away at that ice. That ice is eventually going to give, right? And the Earth is expanding, right? It's a true thing. I mean, we do have volcanic events and we do have earthquake events, and there is 50 tons of dust falling on the planet every single year. So our world is becoming larger to look after. To be proper symbols of light before the Father. Right? I'll talk to you soon, and I appreciate your time. Now it's time to think of being something other than slime.